Hey guys, how you doing? Hello everybody, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing good. So guys, you want a loud exhaust? Let's talk about that for a bit. I first off say good on you. Loud exhausts save lives, and when I say loud, I mean louder than quiet. A lot of the bikes sold today, even some of the cruisers, they are quiet. Quiet to the point where nobody hears you. I have a little Mazda Miata. It's a small little car. And when I was getting it, I was a bit worried because everybody says it's an accident-prone car because it's so small, it's pretty low to the ground. People have a hard time seeing you. I went ahead and got a very brightly colored, bright red Mazda Miata, and I can attest, it is more accident-prone than a big SUV or a truck, just the nature that it's smaller. When you're on a bicycle, it's even worse. Even worse. You are a lot smaller. And if you're quiet, people don't hear you at all. Which is not a good combination. What people do is they make their exhaust louder by buying an aftermarket exhaust, modifying the one they have. And it really can save lives. I've been riding with a motorcycle that makes some noise for a while now. And I promise you, people hear me. And that's good, that's what I want them to do. There's an old saying, you can never have a motorcycle too loud. Well, yes and no. There comes a point where if it's too loud, it actually can hurt people's ears. And that's not good, that's not quite what you want. So you want to find the balance where it's probably loud so that people hear you, but not so obnoxious that it really hurts people. That's what you want. Or at least that's what I want. Some people, they actually like the quiet motorcycle. It doesn't hurt their ears. You know, it's more comfortable. And I'll be honest with you, you are silent. So for example, if you're in a crowd of cars, zipping along, cops never going to hear you. They don't have any advance notice. They might not even see you. So you have a little bit of a stealth factor going on. You're stealthy. And believe me, that can work to your advantage. can work to your advantage. The way it sounds when you go through tunnels, though. Yeah! Beautiful. Yeah, so when you have a louder exhaust, you lose the stealth factor. And if you have a fairly loud exhaust, cops can actually just look at you and say, I bet he's one of those people. When I went for a louder exhaust, I got some nice benefits. It really reduced weight. I think I shaved about 12 pounds off the motorcycle. Do I notice it? Not a whole lot, but it's there. It has to be there. So I'm very thankful for that. The other thing is having a muffler that's not really that restrictive. You get to hear the bike a lot better, and it does stuff that it would never do with a stock exhaust. I hear burbles now from the engine, I hear backfires, and I think it's awesome. It sounds amazing. I love it. I love backfires. It just boom! Sounds awesome. One of the negatives is I get a pretty constant drone when I'm at constant throttle and I'm not really zipping along. You gotta live with it. Or I have to live with it. But on the plus side, people hear me coming. Another negative with a louder exhaust is there's times where, say I want to go out in the morning or come in late at night. You can sometimes feel like a jerk if you live close to neighbors. Be honest with you, you wake them up sometimes. And if you're conscious about those things, you can feel like a jerk. I used to live in Utah, and sometimes I'd have to go out in the morning, and I always just felt bad because I was close to this big residential complex, and people can hear it. It's a lot louder for you on the bike than it is for people, say, 10, 20, 30 feet away, but still. The other thing that I notice is that because my bike is louder, I tend to keep it in the lower RPMs. It doesn't make quite as much noise. And so I actually find that when I'm just cruising around, I'm probably not going as fast as I would be. I'm being more cautious with the noise. It's just who I am. Whereas if I had a quiet bike, I'd probably be revving it out a bit further. Yeah, when I'm just generally cruising, I usually keep it around 3,000 to 4,000. That way I'm not too obnoxious. One thing that I will say is that I made a point of keeping the catalytic converter in there. I'm not a big fan of getting rid of the cat because, to be honest with you, I don't want to breathe in the exhaust, and if I don't want to breathe it in, other people don't want to breathe it in. I've been behind people that I know have got rid of the cat, and it just stinks, and I don't like that. So yeah, keep the cat in. You can get a very loud motorcycle still having the cat in it. The only reason to get rid of the catalytic converter would be as if you're going to be racing a lot. You You know, if the bike's going to be a primary racer, then sure, get as much performance out of it as you can. Otherwise, you can get your bike plenty loud enough without having to get rid of the cat. Getting rid of it would just make it insanely loud. Now on some bikes it's very easy to remove the exhaust while keeping the cat still in it. You can just like bolt off the exhaust. My bike was one of them. It's very easy to put a slip on. Some bikes, they have like an integrated exhaust system. There's no bolts, it's just right from the headers to the tip of the muffler. It's one piece. The catalytic converter is one big box, usually right in the middle of the motorcycle, below it. And you really don't have any options of changing the exhaust with a slip-on. You either do a full exhaust change or not. I know of one person in Brazil, he just hacked off the whole muffler and catalytic converter setup, and he just put a straight pipe out the side of it, and it's insanely loud. I mean, that will hurt your hearing. It will hurt your hearing, and it'll really annoy people around you. On the plus side, he's being heard. On the negative side, he's being heard loud and clear. Wow, that was a bump. So yeah, hear that little underrun and popping? I love it. If I had to buy a bike again, what would I look for? I'd look for a bike that had a very easy to remove exhaust, something that a slip-on could be added very easily, but the catalytic converter was still there. And I do it. I don't like running a quiet bike. I've had people that really notice me with this exhaust, and I like that. One of the things I will say is you get different reactions from people from having a quiet bike, from having a bike with an exhaust. And what I mean by that is, sometimes if I'm behind a person, just puttering along and they're going slow, sometimes they'll actually pull over and let me by. It's as if they know I want to get going. I appreciate that. That really never happened when I had a quiet bike. Never. Another thing though is that people will hear you, but there are some bad people out there. They have a certain mindset that they don't want to hear you, and they'll actually punish you for doing this. They'll actually creep into your lane, they'll bully you around. They're pretty bad people. So they will come out of the woodwork when you have an exhaust that makes noise. Louder pipes. So consider that. They're out there, but they're douchebags. They're bad, bad people. And sometimes they're the ones that are clueless and not paying attention, so maybe it's better that they hear you. Anyways, I don't know. It's a tough choice. For me, it wasn't, but for some people it really is a tough choice. Some bikes you actually have to be very careful. If you remove too much of the exhaust, and by that I mean if you remove too much of the back pressure, for some reason the engine doesn't like it. With fuel injected bikes, sometimes they can handle it, sometimes they're just not set up for it. I know the Honda CB1000R, It's a Naked Street Fighter leader bike. They say if you remove too much of the exhaust system, be careful, you can do severe engine damage. I know with older bikes that have carbs on them, you got to be careful. Sometimes just changing the exhaust system is enough to throw the engine out of line, and you'll actually need to rejet the bike. There's no adjustments that can be made. No mixture settings or anything like that. And yeah, you'll have to actually install different jets, either larger jets, smaller jets, however it works out. So be careful of that. Yeah. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. If you feel strongly about the subject, leave some comments. I'd be curious to hear. And maybe do some other people some good too. Well, until the next video, guys.